So 2 guys, a pond and lots of mud makes for a very funny and very dirty story. Oh my God! I've literally just watched the footage. The camera's here. I love this farm! Now I wish I had my camera because it really must be quite a funny sight to see. But on the 24th of November we had our first major frost. And so over the past couple of days, I took a break from doing the raised beds and I came down to start doing some more restoration work on the pond in the hill meadow. And it's the ideal time to do it because we have had hardly any rain this year, which means this pond is completely empty, which is a bad thing for the pond, but a good thing for me because it means I can get in and I can cut it from the inside out. So I started at this end, and you can see I've cleared loads. And the premise is that I don't want to cut back all of the foliage and the trees and stuff from the edge, because of course nature needs those trees and animals need those trees to kind of come up to the water's edge and take shelter. But if you've got too many of them, they just drop, especially deciduous trees, they just drop all of their leaves into the pond. It decomposes, it turns everything to sludge and stagnant water. That's not what you want for a pond. So although I'm not clearing the entire edge of trees and we are leaving some, what I'm trying to do, as you can see here, I've left this tree, but I've cut these branches that are overhanging. So I'm trying to open it out so that A, sunlight gets in, because you need sunlight for the water plants that I'm going to be introducing, and B, to help the health of the pond. So I've done this entire area, and I've taken a load of blackthorn that was coming over there, and I've still got this area to do. And I'm going round the edges and taking off lots of trees that have fallen into the pond itself, big clumps of brambles that splay over into the pond and cover up the surface. And then the plan will be to haul it all out, rake all of this stuff out of the pond. And there's not a vast amount to do. I've only spent 2 days doing it. It's not as bad as the other pond, actually. Once you're in here, I'm going to leave this whole backside as a scrub patch because it adjoins one of the big hedges, which then acts as a wildlife corridor. So wildlife can come up through the hedge rather than across fields, and then straight across to the pond. So I'm going to cut it way back, but unlike this side, where it's open to the meadow, this side, I'm going to leave it closed. And there's a nice big willow over there as well, which I'm going to leave. However, last night, there was a scene of quite some hilarity. Now, I wish I had my camera, because it really must be quite a funny sight to see. But I didn't, so I'm going to tell you. So in the words of our famous Estelle Getty, picture this, November 25th, 2021, the sun is setting and there are 2 guys restoring a pond. One guy, me, tells his husband, please can you just go to the other side of the pond because it's dry and I need to retrieve that bucket. Other husband, Sard, says, yeah, I'll just get it and then let's go home. This guy carries on working and then suddenly turns around to shrieks of, I'm sinking, I'm sinking. Now, it has to be said that at this point I didn't take it too seriously because Sard, and I don't think he'll mind me saying, has a tendency to be slightly melodramatic. So I just carried on my work, and it wasn't until he continued that I thought, I better go and cross and see what's going on. And honestly, folks, it was like a scene where Atreyu loses Artax in the swamps of sadness. Sard was where Jock is and was gradually disappearing into the mud. Well, it doesn't look that squishy. There's a few footprints and the dog runs across here and I wasn't too worried. The problem is, as you may know, when you get into mud and you start to struggle, you get deeper and deeper and deeper. So I came across, and I'm having to be a bit careful now so I don't suddenly disappear. But alas, all that's left of Sard are his boots. I jest, of course, but it's 4 o'clock, it's getting dark, Sard is stuck in the mud up until his thighs, and every time he moves, he's going deeper and deeper, and I couldn't quite believe it. So I came across to try and get him out, and it's at that point that I got stuck as well. So Sard is here, I am here. We are by like two wibbly grobbly creatures trying to rock back and forth. He's grabbing hold of me to try and pull me out, to try and pull himself out. But I'm then going forwards and I'm getting stuck even more. So it basically ended up with me on my butt down here, dragging him out backwards with his boots left behind. He's then obviously in socks, so he's having to crawl out on his knees. And then I'm stuck in the thistles here and the brambles. And I have to scoot out on my arse. And then because he's not wearing any socks and we've been cutting this down, it is full of brambles and thorns and sloes and blackthorn and horrible. So then I had to piggyback him out of the pond and to the car. And we literally arrived home like two men that had gone up a mountain and lived there for about 500 years. We looked disgusting. And so now I'm going to try and retrieve the boots. There's literally no way I can do it just by walking across because I will sink. So I'm going to get some corrugated tin sheets. I'm going to lay them across and I'm going to see if I can pull those boots out from the mud. Got them. Now imagine Sard and me both covered in that. Now I should say that although this story was very funny and Sard wasn't in any real danger, it does highlight the issue of mud and ponds. So be cautious, because obviously that was me and Sard. We could get each other out. We were very dirty, but it wasn't a problem. If that was a child or a sheep or something, very different story. So I guess the takeaway is here, if you're really worried, fence your ponds off. And with animals, always don't rely on a pond as a water source, because if they went in there searching for water, they'd get stuck and I'd have dead animals. It's amazing how strong the mud can be. And I was trying to pull Sard out. I was trying to pull those boots out by hand yesterday. Just couldn't get them because of suction. So be cautious. This is a tale of caution and mud. So if you hadn't heard already, an avian flu poultry housing lockdown is coming into place on Monday for the entirety of the UK. So Monday the 29th, I think. And so these guys are enjoying the last few days of freedom. I had actually considered keeping them in, because just because the housing lockdown is happening on Monday does not mean that they can't catch anything beforehand. However, I'm using the back door at the moment because the pen is out this side. And overnight, the wind must have blown that door open, because when I came up this morning, they were all running around completely free. So I need to put a padlock on that door just to stop the winter wind pushing that open and letting them go as free range. But I am really happy that I set this waterfowl duck pen up, because it basically means I've got nothing to do in preparation for lockdown. That's a lie. I do need to cover this in some netting just to prevent wild birds pooping through it. But that's the only thing. I don't have to sort out any more housing because all the ducks and the waterfowl are in here. I can keep all the chickens inside that outdoor run and just give them some boredom busters. So cardboard boxes of leaves, hanging vegetables and things to eat. And then let's hope that avian flu naffs off and they can come back out again relatively soon. I would think, given how past years have gone, I would think we are in it until at least the end of February. So I would be prepared to have your birds indoors for at least 3 to possibly 4 months. The weather's quite spectacular today. It's cold, it's really cold, and with the wind chill it feels near freezing. But some of the dark clouds really make all the autumnal colours pop. which I quite like. And actually it was absolutely perishing this morning. It's warmed up a little bit. Not much, not enough for the goats to come out or for me to actually take off my jacket and do my my standard projects in a vest type thing. But I'm just taking you towards the pit because we had the wildlife camera before and we caught those deer on camera. But I have moved the cam down to the pit near the den because I'm fairly sure there's foxes in there, but I'm not sure whether they're cohabiting with badgers because often they do. So I thought I would move the camera down to the pit and just try and capture some footage of some more wildlife. So here is the pit. This is the edge. Almost there. So this used to be an old quarry pit long ago. Like over 100 years ago. It was never in use. Well, I knew it to be. So here we go. Here is the pit. And traditionally when my granddad was here, my granddad used to lamb here because although the wind whips across here, it's obviously a lot warmer down where the wind can't get. So we put a camera trap down there. So let's have a look and see if we caught anything on the trap. Oh my God! I've literally just watched the footage. The camera's here. Badgers! So cool! And that little muntjac and the fox. But badgers! And they are persecuted. I'm so happy. So lovely. I'm going to leave the camera down here now all year because we may get cubs in the spring. I can't believe it! They live just over there. I'm very happy. Can you tell? Oh my goodness. I love this farm. One thing that has happened here, and it happened on the 24th of November, was we had our first major frost. And as you can see, all this black stuff, these are all my dahlias. So although you can leave dahlias in, they need to be mulched and they need sufficient drainage. And we have a very heavy clay soil here, so I don't think they're going to survive. So what I am going to do is I'm going to dig them all up, and I'm going to see, because these are seed sown dahlias this year. So I want to see the size of the tubers that they've created in just, 3, 4, 5 months of growing. So let's do one of the smallest ones, or a couple of the smaller ones, and then we'll do a couple of the bigger ones. So this is probably the smallest, and it didn't flower at all. Wow. I'm actually quite impressed by the size of that tuber. Let's try this one next door. Blimey. I'm actually really surprised. And these are the smaller ones. Let's try a bigger one. We're going to need a bigger fork. For 1 year's growth, that is not at all bad. So to store them, you want to lift them, you want to dry them so all of this compost kind of comes off them. You want to cut the tops off. Obviously that one that actually just snapped off. So I'm going to lift them all, I'm going to pop them in this box, and then I'm going to take them to the shed and I leave them for a couple of weeks to dry. Then I will shake them off and then I'll pop them into dry soil. So I'll just bed them down in dry soil in a dark place, dark, cool place until spring. It's funny, where they've been sat on cardboard, instead of going down, they've grown out. So I've got these star shapes of roots. It makes them a lot easier to pull up, mind you. I can't quite believe how many I got. This entire box. And as I say, I'm not going to leave them like that. They're just going to sit in here for a couple of weeks so that I can come in and shake all this soil off, cut all the greenery off, and then bed them into some dry compost for winter. And I was going to try leaving a few in the ground and doing a test of digging some up and overwintering them in the shed and leaving some in the ground. But actually, as I dug them up, it is so clayey. The clay will have just rotted the roots, so they've all come in. And I highly recommend that you try growing dahlias from seed. It was so easy. I am quite stunned by the size of the tubers they put on. And for the price of a packet of seeds, I had so many dahlia flowers for all those bouquets, and next year, with these going into the ground, I'm going to have even more.